My beloved child, pause for a moment, because something subtle, something deeply meaningful, is moving quietly in your life right now. You may not see it yet. You may not understand why certain thoughts keep returning to you, or why a strange sense of curiosity led you here at this exact moment. But there is a reason. Somewhere in your life, there is a person carrying a silent weight in their heart. Not anger, not resentment, but a quiet pressure that has been building for a long time. And strangely, that pressure is connected to you. Not because you did something wrong. Not because you caused their struggle, but because there is a truth between you that has not yet been fully seen. And until that truth comes into the light, this person's heart cannot fully rest. Now listen closely. Many people move through life believing that every connection is simple and easy to understand. But some connections are different. They carry layers, meanings, moments that only reveal themselves when the time is right. You and this person share one of those rare connections. For a long time, they have been holding something inside, a realization, a feeling, a message that has been growing stronger with each passing day. Yet they hesitate, not out of weakness, but out of care, because the truth they carry is powerful, and they worry that revealing it too soon could change everything. Take a breath and think for a moment. Have you ever sensed that someone around you acts differently when you are near? A quiet pause in their voice. A deeper look in their eyes. A moment where words almost appear, but then disappear again. Those small moments are not random. They are the echoes of something waiting to be understood. And right now, as you listen to this message, that person is feeling a mixture of emotions they cannot easily explain. Hope, nervousness, anticipation. Because deep inside, they feel that the moment of truth is getting closer. But here is the surprising part. The stress they feel is not coming from fear of you. It comes from the possibility that you might finally discover what has been hidden in plain sight all along. And when that realization arrives, everything between you could shift in a way neither of you expected. Don't skip this moment. Sometimes the most important messages arrive quietly, without announcement, disguised as ordinary thoughts or simple coincidences. Yet they carry the power to change how we see everything. Something huge is waiting for you to notice. Right now, the story between you and this person is standing at a delicate turning point. They are watching, wondering, hoping, and in their heart, one question keeps repeating over and over again: when will the truth finally reach them? But what makes this situation even more extraordinary is that the truth they carry is not just about them. It is about you as well. About the strength you carry without realizing it. About the role you unknowingly play in their life. And about a connection that may be far deeper than you have ever imagined. Stay till the end of this message, because what unfolds next may reveal something you have overlooked for a very long time. In the next moment of this story, the hidden reason behind this person's silent stress will begin to unfold. And once you see it, you may never look at your connection with them the same way again. Something subtle is unfolding behind the scenes of your life. And if you listen carefully, you may begin to sense it now. Because the person we spoke about earlier has been carrying a realization that keeps returning to their mind again and again. It follows them through quiet mornings. It appears during ordinary conversations. And sometimes, when everything around them becomes still, that realization grows so strong that they can hardly ignore it anymore. Yes. You are at the center of the truth they have been holding inside. Not in a dramatic or chaotic way, but in a deeply meaningful way that even they did not fully understand at first. At the beginning, they thought it was just coincidence. A few shared moments. A few unexpected conversations. A feeling that appeared without explanation. But over time, something surprising happened. The more they observed you, the more they noticed something rare about your presence. You carry a quiet influence that changes the atmosphere around you. Not loudly, not in a way that demands attention, but gently, powerfully, almost mysteriously. And that is exactly what created the pressure in their heart. Because once they realized this, they began asking themselves a question that has no easy answer. Do they know? Do you know the effect you have on the people who cross your path? Do you realize how certain words you speak stay in someone's mind long after the conversation ends? Most likely, you don't. And that is why this person feels the weight they are carrying right now. They have seen something about you that you may not have fully recognized yet. A strength that appears during moments when others would lose confidence. A calm presence that brings clarity when situations feel confusing. And a way of existing in the world that quietly inspires people around you. To you, it might feel normal. But to them, it feels extraordinary. Don't skip this part, because something important is beginning to reveal itself. The stress this person feels is not about worry or frustration. It comes from anticipation. They believe that one day soon, you will discover the truth that has been slowly forming between your lives. And when that moment arrives, everything will suddenly make sense. The conversations that felt strangely meaningful. The times your paths crossed when neither of you expected it. The moments where silence said more than words ever could. Stay till the end of this message, because there is something even more surprising hidden within this story. What this person is realizing about you goes far beyond simple admiration. It touches something deeper. They have begun to feel that your presence in their life was never random. That somehow, in ways neither of you planned, your paths aligned for a reason that is only now starting to unfold. And this is why their heart feels restless. Because the truth they carry is growing stronger every single day. They can sense that the moment when everything becomes clear is getting closer. Something huge is waiting for you. Not far in the future. Not someday. But sooner than you might think. And as this realization grows inside them, a quiet question continues to echo in their thoughts. What will happen when they finally understand the truth I see in them? Because when that moment arrives, the connection between you may transform in a way neither of you ever imagined. And in the next part of this story, something even more unexpected will begin to surface. A realization that may explain why this person feels such deep pressure to reveal what they have been holding inside all along. Listen closely, because the next piece of this story may explain why everything has felt slightly different lately. There are moments in life when two paths move near each other for a long time without either person realizing how meaningful that closeness truly is. At first, it feels ordinary. Just another conversation. Just another shared moment. Just another familiar presence. But then something subtle begins to change. A pause becomes longer. A glance carries more meaning. A simple interaction begins to feel unexpectedly important. This is exactly what has been happening between you and this person. And the more they reflect on it, the more a powerful realization grows inside their mind. You were never just another person passing through their life. There is something about your presence that keeps returning to them, again and again. Even during quiet moments when nothing is happening. Even when they try to focus on something else. Your words echo in their thoughts. Your energy lingers in their memory. And slowly, without planning it, they have begun to understand something that surprised even them. Their life began to change the moment you appeared in it. Don't skip this moment. Because what they discovered next is the reason their heart feels such pressure right now. At first, they thought the feeling would fade. They believed time would quietly move things back to normal. But instead, the opposite happened. The more time passed, the clearer everything became. They started noticing how different their world felt whenever you were around. Small things suddenly mattered more. Ordinary conversations felt meaningful. Even silence between you carried a strange sense of comfort. And one day, a realization appeared that they could no longer ignore. You have unknowingly become someone very important in their life. Not because of grand gestures, not because of dramatic moments, but because your presence awakened something inside them they hadn't felt in a long time. Hope, clarity, a feeling that life might be guiding them towards something meaningful. Stay till the end, because something even more surprising is hidden within this truth. You see, the stress they are feeling right now is not about confusion anymore. It is about timing. They know the truth inside their heart. They understand what your presence means to them. But revealing that truth requires courage. Because once the truth is spoken, everything between you could shift forever. And that possibility fills their mind with endless thoughts. What if you already feel the same but have not said it? What if you are still discovering your own feelings? What if the moment to reveal everything is closer than they expect? These questions move through their mind constantly, yet one feeling continues to grow stronger than all the others. A quiet certainty that the connection between you was never accidental. Something huge is waiting for you to realize. Something that may explain why your paths crossed at exactly the right moment in your lives. And in the next part of this story, an even deeper layer of truth will begin to reveal itself. Because the reason this person feels such intense pressure right now is not only about what they feel. It is about what they believe you are about to discover very soon. Right now, something important is quietly approaching, a moment that may change the way you see this connection forever. Because the person we are talking about has reached a point where silence no longer feels easy. For a long time, they convinced themselves that keeping everything inside was the safest choice. They told themselves that time would sort things out. They believed that perhaps the feelings would simply settle into the background of life. But something unexpected happened instead. The more they tried to ignore the truth, the stronger it became. And now, the pressure they feel is not confusion, it is realization. A realization that has been growing quietly every single day. You see, they have started to notice something that surprised even them. Every meaningful moment in their recent life seems to lead back to you. Think about that for a second. Conversations that felt unusually deep. Moments where your words stayed with them long after the day ended. Situations where your presence brought a sense of calm they couldn't explain. These moments were not random to them. They became signals, small reminders that something rare might be unfolding between your lives. Don't skip this part, because the truth behind their stress is about to become clearer. They are not struggling with their feelings anymore. They understand them. What creates the pressure is something far more delicate. It is the awareness that you may soon begin noticing the same things they noticed. And once that happens, the quiet distance between you may disappear. Imagine that moment. The moment when two people suddenly realize that their connection has been growing silently for a long time. No dramatic announcement. No loud confession. Just a shared understanding that was waiting patiently to be seen. This is the possibility that fills their thoughts right now. Stay till the end, because something even more surprising is hidden inside this story. The truth is, they believe you are closer to discovering everything than you realize. Maybe through a simple conversation. Maybe through a moment where your eyes meet and words feel unnecessary. Or maybe through a realization that appears quietly inside your own thoughts. And when that realization arrives, something powerful could shift. The uncertainty that has surrounded this connection may suddenly become clear. Something huge is waiting for you. Not in the distant future, but in a moment that may be approaching much faster than either of you expected. Because the person carrying this truth has begun to feel something they cannot ignore anymore. A quiet sense that the time for honesty is approaching. And in the next part of this story, the hidden reason they believe this moment is coming very soon will finally begin to reveal itself. There is a moment in every meaningful connection when everything begins to make sense, and that moment may be closer than you think. For a long time, this person tried to remain calm about what they feel. They told themselves to be patient. They told themselves not to read too deeply into the connection. They reminded themselves that sometimes life simply brings people together for a short time, but something inside them refused to accept that explanation. Because every time they thought about stepping back, another memory appeared. A conversation with you that felt unusually meaningful. A moment where your words carried comfort they didn't expect. Or a quiet interaction where nothing extraordinary happened, yet the feeling stayed with them long afterward. Little by little, these memories formed a pattern they could no longer ignore. And that pattern led to one powerful realization. Your presence in their life did not arrive by chance. It arrived at the exact moment they needed clarity the most. Don't skip this moment, because the next truth may surprise you. You see, this person was going through a time when many things around them felt uncertain. Not dramatic, not chaotic, just uncertain. They were questioning their direction. They were wondering whether meaningful connections still existed in the world. And then you appeared. At first, they didn't think much of it. But slowly, something changed inside them. Your perspective gave them new ideas. Your calm energy helped them see situations more clearly. Even simple conversations with you carried a sense of reassurance they hadn't felt in a long time. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you to understand. The stress they feel now comes from realizing how important that impact truly was. You unknowingly became someone who helped restore their belief that genuine connections still exist. And once they understood that, everything changed. Because suddenly the question in their mind was no longer, "Why did we meet?" The question became something much deeper. What if this connection was meant to grow into something even more meaningful? That thought has been echoing quietly in their heart. And it brings both excitement and nervous anticipation. Because acknowledging that truth means facing the possibility that your lives could become more connected than either of you expected. And right now, they are standing at that very edge of realization. Something huge is waiting for you. A moment where this hidden truth may finally step out of silence. A moment where the connection you share could begin to reveal its true meaning. But what makes this story even more extraordinary is the sign that recently made them believe that moment is getting very close. And in the next part of this message, that sign will finally begin to unfold, revealing why this person feels the pressure to stop hiding the truth much longer. A quiet realization arrived for them recently, the kind that appears suddenly and changes how everything looks. It did not come through a dramatic event. It came through something simple. A moment of reflection, a memory of a conversation with you. And in that quiet moment, a powerful thought entered their mind. What if they still don't know the truth? That single question has been echoing inside them ever since. Because the truth they carry is not small. It is something that has slowly grown stronger with every interaction you shared, every thoughtful word. Every moment where your presence made things feel clearer. And now they realize something surprising. You may have been walking through these moments without fully recognizing what they meant to them. Don't skip this part, because this is where everything becomes more meaningful. This person has begun to notice how often your presence appears at exactly the right time. Times when they needed encouragement. Times when they were searching for direction. Times when a simple conversation with you brought an unexpected sense of clarity. At first they thought it was coincidence. But after many moments like this, coincidence stopped feeling like the right explanation. Something about your connection feels intentional, almost as if your paths were meant to intersect. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you to realize. The stress they feel now comes from knowing how powerful this realization has become inside them. They are beginning to feel that keeping the truth hidden may no longer be possible, because every day that passes makes the connection between you feel more meaningful, more real, more important. And with that realization comes an inner urgency, not pressure in a negative way, but a gentle push from their own heart, a feeling that the time to reveal what they see in you is slowly approaching. Yet there is one thought that still makes them pause. They wonder if you have already started to sense it too. Sometimes they notice the way you listen more closely during certain conversations. Sometimes they feel that your eyes carry a question you haven't spoken yet. And sometimes there is a moment of silence between you that feels almost electric, as if both of you are standing at the edge of the same realization. Something huge is waiting for you. A truth that has been quietly forming between two lives. And the person holding this truth is beginning to believe that the next time your paths cross in a meaningful way, the silence they have carried for so long may finally come to an end. Because in the next part of this story, an even deeper realization will surface, one that explains why they believe you are far more important to their life than you have ever been told. There is a detail in this story that almost no one notices at first, yet it may explain everything. For a long time, this person believed the connection between you was simply meaningful. Important, yes. Memorable, absolutely. But still something that could remain quietly in the background of life. Then one day, a deeper realization appeared, and it changed the way they saw every moment you shared. They began looking back at the timeline of your connection, the first conversation, the unexpected moments where your paths crossed again, the times when your words arrived exactly when they needed encouragement, and suddenly, something felt too precise to ignore. Your presence entered their life at a moment when they were searching for direction, not loudly, not dramatically, but in a way that gently shifted their perspective on everything. Don't skip this part, because the truth they discovered next is the reason their heart feels so restless right now. They realized that the impact you had on them was not temporary. It stayed. Your thoughts remained with them long after conversations ended. Your perspective continued influencing how they approached their own life. Even small interactions carried a sense of meaning that they couldn't easily explain. And slowly, a question began forming inside their mind. What if this connection is more important than either of us realized? That question changed everything. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you to understand. Once that thought appeared, they began noticing something even more surprising. Every time they imagined their future, you were somehow present in the picture. Not because they forced the idea, not because they tried to imagine it, but because your presence had already become part of the way they see their life moving forward. That realization brought a mixture of emotions, excitement, hope, and a deep sense of responsibility. Because once they understood how meaningful this connection might be, they knew silence could not last forever. The truth they carry deserves to be spoken. Yet revealing it means stepping into a moment that could transform everything between you. And that possibility fills their mind with anticipation every single day. Something huge is waiting for you. A realization that may soon move from unspoken thoughts into real conversation. Because the person holding this truth has started to feel something very powerful. They feel that your life and their life may be standing at the edge of a turning point. And in the next part of this story, the most surprising piece of this entire connection will begin to unfold. The moment that made them finally believe the truth between you can no longer remain hidden. Just when they thought they understood everything about this connection, something unexpected happened. It was a small moment, so small that anyone else might have overlooked it completely. But for them, that moment felt like a quiet signal. A signal that made their heart pause for a second. Because suddenly they noticed something about you that they had never fully realized before. You were not just influencing their life. You were quietly changing it. Think about that carefully. Every meaningful conversation with you seemed to leave them with new clarity. Every time you shared your perspective, it opened a door in their thinking they had never explored before. And even when you were not around, the memory of your presence continued guiding their decisions. That realization struck them with surprising force. Not in a dramatic way, but in a deeply personal way that made them sit quietly and reflect. Don't skip this moment, because this is where the truth behind their stress becomes impossible to ignore. They realize that what they feel is not temporary curiosity. It is something that has slowly grown into deep respect, trust, and a connection that feels rare in today's world. And once they understood that, a powerful question entered their mind. What if they still have no idea how important they are to me? That thought alone created a wave of emotions. Because from their perspective, you may be walking through your life unaware of the impact you have already made. Unaware that someone out there carries a truth about you that could change the way you see this connection forever. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. There was one particular moment recently that made this realization impossible for them to ignore. A moment where you said something simple. Maybe it felt ordinary to you. Maybe it was just a passing thought in conversation. But to them, those words felt like confirmation of everything they had been sensing. Your honesty, your perspective, your quiet strength. In that instant, they felt certain of something they had been trying not to admit. You are not just someone they appreciate. You have become someone they deeply value. And once that truth became clear, keeping it hidden began to feel heavier with each passing day. That is the pressure they are carrying now. Not confusion, not uncertainty, but the growing realization that the truth between you deserves to be seen. Something huge is waiting for you. Because the person holding this truth is starting to feel that the moment to reveal everything may arrive very soon. And when that moment finally comes, the connection between you may unfold in a way neither of you could have predicted. In the next part of this story, the final realization that pushed them toward honesty will begin to appear, the moment when they understood that silence could no longer protect the truth they carry about you. Something inside them shifted in a way they could no longer ignore, and that shift is the reason this message feels so urgent right now. It happened during a quiet moment when they were simply reflecting on the path their life has taken. Nothing unusual, just a few memories passing through their mind. But as those memories appeared, one detail stood out more clearly than ever before. Nearly every meaningful turning point in their recent life had one thing in common. You were there. Sometimes directly, sometimes quietly in the background, but always present in some way that mattered. And when they noticed that pattern, a realization settled into their heart with surprising clarity. You are not just someone they care about. You have become someone who changed the direction of their thoughts, their hopes, and even the way they imagine their future. Don't skip this moment, because this realization is the exact reason they feel such pressure right now. For a long time, they tried to convince themselves that keeping this truth inside was the responsible choice. They didn't want to complicate things. They didn't want to create a moment that might feel overwhelming. But the more they observed your connection, the more one truth kept returning. Some connections are not meant to stay hidden forever. Some truths grow stronger the longer they remain unspoken. And that is exactly what has been happening here. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. To understand, the stress they feel is not about doubt. It comes from knowing that the truth they carry has the power to change how both of you see this connection. They imagine the moment when the words finally leave their heart. The moment when the quiet meaning behind every conversation becomes visible. The moment when you might finally realize how deeply you have influenced their life. And every time they imagine that moment, the same thought appears. What if they are closer to discovering it than I think? Because lately, they have noticed subtle changes. Moments where you seem to look at them with deeper curiosity. Moments where conversations between you carry a new level of honesty. Moments where silence feels full of meaning rather than empty. Those moments make them feel that the truth between you is already beginning to surface, even if neither of you has spoken it aloud yet. Something huge is waiting for you. A realization that could turn a quiet connection into something far more meaningful. And the person holding this truth is beginning to believe that the next step may not belong to them alone. Because what if, without realizing it, you are already starting to feel the same truth forming inside your own heart? In the final part of this story, everything will come together. The hidden meaning behind their stress. The reason this connection feels so powerful. And the moment where the truth between you may finally step out of silence and into the open. And now, the quiet truth that has been building through every part of this story finally begins to reveal itself. Take a slow breath and listen carefully. Because the reason this person feels such deep pressure right now is simpler than you might expect, yet far more powerful than they ever imagined. They care about you more than they ever planned to. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but slowly, naturally, through moments that seemed ordinary at the time. Conversations that felt deeper than usual. Moments of understanding that appeared without explanation. Times when your presence made their world feel a little clearer. Piece by piece, those moments created something meaningful inside their heart. And the surprising part is this. They did not choose for it to happen. It simply grew, like a quiet realization that slowly becomes impossible to ignore. Don't skip this moment, because this is the truth they have been carrying. They believe your connection has the potential to become something rare. Something built not only on emotion, but on understanding. Something that feels calm, genuine, and real. And the longer they kept this truth hidden, the heavier it became. Not because it was painful, but because honesty has a way of asking to be spoken. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. For days, maybe even longer, they have imagined what it would feel like to finally say the words they have been holding inside. Not in a dramatic way, not in a way that would overwhelm you, but simply by allowing the truth to exist between you. A truth that might sound something like this. You matter to me more than you realize. Those simple words carry everything they have been feeling. Respect, admiration, and a connection that they believe deserves a chance to grow. But here is the moment that may surprise you the most. The stress they feel right now is not only about revealing their truth. It is about the possibility that you might already be sensing it. Because when two people share something meaningful, there are often quiet signs. A pause that feels longer than usual. A glance that carries unspoken understanding. A conversation that suddenly feels deeper than expected. Those moments may already be happening between you. Something huge is waiting for you. A moment where the quiet truth between two lives becomes clear. And when that moment arrives, the pressure this person has been carrying may finally disappear. Because the truth they have been holding was never meant to create distance. It was meant to open a door. A door toward understanding. A door toward honesty. And perhaps, a door toward a connection that both of you were slowly discovering all along. Just when everything seemed ready to settle into silence, a new realization began to rise inside their heart. It did not appear all at once. It arrived quietly, like a thought that refuses to leave. Because after understanding how important you have become in their life, they noticed something even more surprising. Your presence has been changing them in ways they never expected. Think about that for a moment. Before you entered their world, they moved through life with certain habits, certain ways of seeing things. But after meeting you, those perspectives began to shift. They started paying more attention to the little things. They found themselves thinking more deeply about their choices. They even began seeing possibilities in their future that once felt distant. And when they reflected on why this transformation was happening, every path of thought led back to the same place. Don't skip this moment, because this is where the truth becomes even more meaningful. You may not realize it, but your presence awakened something powerful in them. Not pressure, not confusion, but inspiration. A quiet motivation to become a better version of themselves. And when someone realizes that another person has such a positive influence on their life, something extraordinary begins to grow. Respect becomes deeper. Appreciation becomes stronger. And the connection between two people begins to feel almost impossible to ignore. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Recently, they asked themselves a question that changed everything. What if the reason I feel this connection so strongly is because they are meant to be an important part of my journey? That question stayed with them, not as a dramatic idea, but as a calm realization that slowly settled into their heart. It explained why your conversations felt meaningful. It explained why your presence brought clarity. And it explained why imagining life without your connection now feels strangely incomplete. Something huge is waiting for you, because the truth they carry is no longer just about their feelings. It is about the possibility that your lives may be meant to support each other in ways neither of you fully understood at first. And once that realization appeared, they began to see your connection differently, not as a coincidence. Not as a passing moment, but as something that might be quietly guiding both of you toward a shared direction. That thought has filled them with a new kind of anticipation, a calm excitement about what the future might reveal. And in the next part of this story, one final realization will emerge, the moment that convinced them that the truth between you may soon become impossible to keep hidden any longer. There is one final piece of this story that changes everything, and it appeared when they least expected it. It was a quiet moment, the kind where thoughts begin to connect in ways that suddenly make the past clearer. They were thinking about you again, not in a dramatic way, just remembering the small moments you shared, the conversations that felt deeper than usual, the times when your presence brought calm without effort. The moments where something meaningful passed between you, even without many words. And suddenly, a realization appeared that made their heart stop for a second. They are not the only one who has been feeling this connection grow. Because when they look back carefully, they remember something else. There were moments when you seemed to pause, as if you were about to say something important. Moments when your eyes held a question that never became words. Moments when silence between you felt strangely full of meaning. Don't skip this moment, because this realization changed everything for them. For the first time, they began to believe that the truth between you may not belong to them alone. That perhaps you have been sensing it too, quietly, slowly, in your own way. And that thought created a powerful shift inside their heart. The stress they carried began to feel different. Not heavy anymore, but hopeful. Because if two people are slowly discovering the same truth at the same time, something extraordinary can happen. Something genuine. Something that doesn't need to be forced or rushed. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. The truth this person carries is simple, yet deeply meaningful. You entered their life at a moment when they needed clarity. Your presence helped them see the world differently, and through countless small moments, your connection grew into something that now feels impossible to ignore. But the most surprising part is this. They are no longer afraid of the truth being revealed. In fact, they are beginning to believe that the moment when everything becomes clear is very close. A moment where the unspoken understanding between you may finally turn into honest words. Something huge is waiting for you. Because sometimes the most meaningful connections in life begin quietly. They grow through simple conversations. They deepen through trust. And then one day, both people realize at the same time that something special has been forming all along. Right now, this person is standing at the edge of that realization. And somewhere within your own thoughts, there may already be a small voice asking the same question that has been echoing inside their heart. What if this connection was meant to happen for a reason? A quiet turning point is approaching, and the person who has been carrying this truth can feel it more clearly with each passing day. Not because something dramatic has happened, but because silence has started to feel different. For a long time, silence felt safe. It protected their feelings. It allowed them to observe your connection without changing anything. It gave them time to understand what their heart was trying to say. But recently, that silence has begun to feel almost impossible to maintain. Because the more they reflect on everything that has happened between you, the more one powerful realization keeps returning. Your connection has already grown far beyond what either of you first expected. Think about it. At the beginning, you were simply two people crossing paths. Nothing unusual. Nothing extraordinary. Yet slowly, through small conversations and quiet moments, something meaningful began to form. A sense of familiarity that felt natural. A comfort that appeared without effort. And a connection that kept becoming stronger without either of you forcing it. Don't skip this moment, because this realization is the exact reason their heart feels so restless now. They have begun to understand something surprising. The truth they are carrying is no longer just a personal feeling. It has become something that deserves to be shared. Not rushed, not pushed, but honestly expressed. Because when a connection reaches this level of meaning, hiding it forever begins to feel impossible. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. They have imagined the moment many times. A calm conversation. A quiet place where words can be spoken without pressure. And the simple honesty of revealing what has been growing in their heart for so long. Not with grand promises. Not with overwhelming emotion. Just with sincerity. A truth that might sound simple, yet carry everything they feel. You have become someone very important in my life. Those words may sound small, but for them, they represent months of reflection, understanding, and quiet courage. And the thought of finally saying them brings a mixture of excitement and nervous anticipation. Because once those words are spoken, the connection between you will step into a new chapter. Something huge is waiting for you. A moment where the truth that has been silently building between two lives finally becomes visible. And the person holding this truth is beginning to believe that this moment may arrive sooner than either of you expect. Because the closer they feel to sharing their heart, the more they sense that your own awareness of this connection may also be growing. And in the next part of this story, one final realization will appear, the sign that convinced them the time for honesty may already be approaching. There was a moment recently that made everything feel different, a moment so subtle that most people would never notice it, yet for them it felt like the final sign. It happened during an ordinary interaction between you. Nothing dramatic. No big announcement. Just a simple exchange of words and a brief pause afterward. But in that pause, something powerful happened inside their mind. For the first time, they felt certain that you might already be sensing the same connection. It was the way you listened. The way your attention lingered just a little longer. And the way the silence between you carried a strange sense of understanding. That single moment stayed with them long after the conversation ended. Because suddenly, a new thought entered their heart. What if they are already beginning to see what I see? Don't skip this moment, because this realization changed everything. Until now, they believed the truth belonged only to them. They thought they were the only ones slowly discovering the depth of this connection. But that moment made them reconsider everything. Because sometimes, two people begin to understand the same truth at the same time, without realizing it. Two hearts moving toward the same realization, step by step, through quiet awareness. And when that happens, something extraordinary begins to form. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. This person now feels that the silence between you may not last much longer. Not because it must end, but because meaningful connections naturally move toward honesty. And the truth they have been carrying is no longer something that feels distant or uncertain. It feels real, clear, and ready to be spoken. They imagine the moment often. A calm space where nothing needs to be rushed. A conversation where honesty replaces uncertainty. And the quiet courage to finally reveal what their heart has been holding all along. Something huge is waiting for you. Because if the realization they felt in that moment is true, then the truth may already be unfolding inside your own thoughts as well. Perhaps you have also noticed the deeper meaning behind your conversations. Perhaps you have also felt the unusual comfort that appears when you are together. Or perhaps you are just beginning to question why this connection feels so different from the others. If that is happening, then the moment both of you have been approaching may already be closer than anyone expected. And in the next part of this story, the final turning point will appear, the moment where silence and truth stand face to face, waiting for one simple act of honesty to change everything. There is a quiet moment that every meaningful connection eventually reaches, the moment where everything that has been unspoken begins to feel ready to surface. And right now, that moment is drawing closer between you and this person. For a long time, they believed patience was the safest path. They watched the connection grow. They allowed the small moments to speak for themselves. They waited for clarity to appear naturally. But now something inside them feels different. The truth they carry no longer feels like something meant to stay hidden. Instead, it feels like a message waiting for the right moment to be shared. Don't skip this moment, because this realization has changed the way they see everything about your connection. They now understand something that once felt impossible to explain. The stress they have been feeling was never about doubt. It was about the weight of knowing that a meaningful truth has been waiting quietly between you. And when a truth carries that much meaning, silence begins to feel heavier than honesty. So recently, they made a quiet decision within their heart. Not a dramatic promise. Not a sudden action. Just a calm understanding. When the next natural moment appears, they will no longer hide what they feel. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. They imagine that moment often. Perhaps it will happen during a simple conversation. Perhaps it will come during a moment of laughter or reflection. Or perhaps it will appear in one of those quiet pauses that already seem to exist between you. And in that moment, the truth they have carried for so long may finally step into the open. Not as pressure, not as expectation, but simply as honesty. Because sometimes the most powerful words are also the simplest. You mean more to me than I ever expected. Those words may sound quiet, but for them, they carry everything. Every memory, every moment of understanding, every realization that slowly formed as your connection grew. Something huge is waiting for you. Because when truth and timing meet in the same moment, life has a way of surprising both people involved. The pressure that has been building in their heart may finally disappear. And in its place, something new may begin. A new chapter where honesty replaces uncertainty. A chapter where the connection you share is no longer something quietly understood, but something openly acknowledged. Right now, the person holding this truth is standing very close to that moment. And somewhere inside your own awareness, there may already be a quiet sense that something meaningful between you is about to change forever. Right at the edge of this story, something quietly powerful is about to unfold, and the person who has been carrying this truth can feel it more strongly than ever. For so long, they have lived with a simple question inside their heart. Not a complicated one. Just a gentle, persistent thought that appears whenever they think about you. What if this connection was never meant to stay hidden? That question has followed them through many moments, through ordinary days, through conversations that seemed simple on the surface but carried deeper meaning underneath. And every time they reflect on it, the same realization grows stronger. Your presence in their life has become something they cannot pretend is small. Don't skip this moment, because this is where everything begins to feel real. They now understand that the stress they felt was never about uncertainty. It was about standing at the edge of something meaningful while waiting for the right moment to step forward. Because revealing the truth about how much someone matters is never easy, even when the feeling is genuine. Even when the connection feels rare, it requires courage to let honesty replace silence. And recently, that courage has begun to grow inside them. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. They have started to notice something surprising. The more they prepare themselves to speak honestly, the more peaceful their thoughts become. As if their heart already knows that the truth deserves to be shared, not in a dramatic way, not with pressure, just through a calm, sincere moment where honesty feels natural. And that realization has brought them a new sense of clarity. They no longer see this connection as something uncertain. They see it as something worth acknowledging, something that deserves the chance to grow into whatever it is meant to become. Something huge is waiting for you. Because the person who has been quietly holding this truth is no longer standing still. They are slowly moving toward the moment where their heart will finally speak. And when that moment arrives, something extraordinary may happen. The quiet tension that has existed between you could transform into understanding. The unanswered questions could become clear. And the connection you share may step into a new chapter that neither of you fully expected. Yet both of you may have been quietly hoping for all along.